This presentation is brought to you by Experts for Entrepreneurs. Today's webinar is hosted by Russ Henneberry. The subject is how to use business blogging to generate sales, leads, and referrals.
And today's webinar topic is how to use business blogging to generate sales, leads, and referrals. And let me tell you why I was asked to do this presentation. My name's Russ Henneberry. I own a company called Tiny and Mighty Media. I'm online at tinyandmighty.com. And over the years, I've worked on hundreds of internet marketing projects, from simple website redesigns to elaborate content marketing strategies that involve search engine optimization, social media, and of course, business blogging. And let's get started by debunking a popular myth. Blogs don't make money. That is to say that the blog itself doesn't make you money any more than creating a print ad for a newspaper makes you money. In fact, it costs you money or time to create a print ad or to manage a blog. A business blog, just like a print ad or a television ad, is a marketing tactic. The thing is that the internet really hasn't changed the basic fundamentals of business. It's still our biggest problem as business owners that the majority of the people that could or should be buying our products or services are in the very top stage of the marketing funnel, in a stage called apathy. They don't care about you or your products or your services or your brands or your customer service. And they're simply unaware that you exist. And it's our job as people in marketing and sales, and for some of us, we're in every aspect of our business, but when we put our marketing and sales hats on, it is our job to move people through the same stages that people have been moving people through for decades in business. And that is awareness that you exist, that your products exist, that your solution exists. Interest. In other words, I'm interested in you, your products, your services, your brands. I can take somebody from apathy to awareness, and they may leave my marketing funnel, and that's okay. As long as, at least some of them are moving into interest. And at interest, they may say, you know what, I'm interested, but right now I'm not going to take any action on this. I'm going to leave your funnel. But if we can move people from interest into evaluation, in other words, they start to look at the three options that they have. Option one, pick your solution. Remember, they're aware of it. They're interested in it. They're going to pick your solution. Option two, pick a competitive solution, either the same solution from a competitor or a different solution from a competitor to the same problem. Or they could pick their third option, which is to do nothing about the problem at all. If we can move people from evaluation into sale, and we make a good experience when our product is good, our customer service is good, the experience is a good one, we can move people into that golden stage of referral, where they start generating more people out of the apathy stage at the top of the funnel for you. The truth is that a business blog is just a platform that we use to springboard off of to execute a strategy online to move people from apathy to referral, from site visitor to evangelist for our business. And it's not in and of itself a moneymaker. So a lot of people, come to me and they say, well, how do you make money blogging? And I say, well, I make the money blogging in the same way that you make money from running a print ad. It is a tactic that I use. So let's break this tactic down into 3 stages. And the biggest question that I ask people is, if you had the best idea, in other words, let's not even just debate the fact that you have the best product, the best solution. This is not a webinar about building products or improving your customer service. This is a webinar about marketing. So let's take the assumption that you have the best solution. The biggest question you have from a marketing perspective is, who could you tell? Who could you tell about that great solution? And if the answer is, I can tell my friends, or I could tell my family, I could tell my kids, my mom, that's not a good answer. We need to have a group of people, we need an audience of people that are listening to what you have to offer. If we break this down into 3 stages, we can break this down into the ARC method. And the ARC method is instructive because at the end of, by the time I'm done describing this method to you, I want you to think to yourself, where am I? What stage am I in the ARC method? Am I in the attract stage? Am I in the retain stage? Or am I in the convert stage? Stage 1 is attract. And it's, as an internet marketer, most of the people that come to me are in this stage, or think they are in this stage, where they think they need more eyeballs, or they do need more eyeballs. It's not always the case, but most people, when they think of internet marketing, they think of traffic generation. I need more traffic. I need more people. And that may indeed be the case. You may need more eyeballs. You may need more buzz around what you're doing. And if it is the case, first of all, I would encourage you to be using some kind of an analytics program like Google Analytics to be deciding whether or not you need more eyeballs, or that's your biggest problem. It's surprising how many people will say, well, I don't have any traffic. And I say, well, how do you know? And they say, well, it's just a hunch, and there's no data behind it. And Google Analytics can tell you very quickly whether or not you have an attraction problem. But if you do have an attraction problem, then these are some methods that you need to begin studying. Search engine optimization. You need to learn the basics of SEO and understand at least enough that you can hire somebody and know whether they're doing a good job for you or not. Social media is a great way to drive more traffic, more eyeballs, more buzz around what you're doing. Learn the basics and the protocols of networking online via social media. Pay-per-click is another method that you can use to get eyeballs on your products, services, brands, and all of these things. These are the basics of the attract stage on the internet. Where most people fail is understanding that you may need more traffic, but it is the retention that where most people fall down. So I always ask people this question. If the New York Times linked to your website tomorrow, you put a big link on their homepage to your website featuring you, and it sent 100,000 visitors to your website, how many of them could you reach the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year? The most critical part of internet marketing that people fail to understand is that it's not just about attraction. It is certainly about attraction, but then it's about attracting and then retaining. In internet marketing parlance, we use the term list building. You'll hear lots of internet marketing people say the money is in the list. It's no different than buying a list from a list broker. except that you're building your own list. You're not buying it. You are building your own asset, your own list of people that are listening to what you're saying. So if you learn the basics of list building, email marketing is still the king. If you can get a good email list together, you can then move on to the third stage. But there are other ways of building lists. I define a list as anything where you get a person to raise their hand in the air and say, I want more from you. I want to interact with you further. So if you run an offline networking event and you get a group of people together on a regular basis, that's a list. Those are people that are opting in to receive more from you. They are interacting with you. They are building a relationship with you. Twitter followers, as ridiculous as this might sound, a person following you on Twitter has raised their hand to say, I'm willing to communicate with you. A Facebook friend, a Facebook like of your Facebook page is someone that has said, I am willing to interact with you further. They have joined a list of yours, and you can now reach them again when you do come up with a promotion or a better product or an offer or whatever it is. You need to be able to reach that person again. And so getting that person to become a Facebook friend or connect with you on your Facebook page is a list. Same with LinkedIn connections and any other social networking that you're doing. When people decide that they are ready to receive more from you, they join a list. Now, the third stage is where a lot of people start online. They start with convert. So they jump on Facebook and they put out an offer. Or they jump on their website and all that's on their website is a series of offers. And what they don't realize is that they have not yet attracted anybody to look at that offer or retained anybody to send that offer to. But if you have attracted and retained a list of people, you can now start making those people offers. You can start mixing offers in with the communications that you send them. If you are at this stage, or when you reach this stage, you need to be studying the basics of what we call conversion. And here are some places that you can start. You need to learn to write better headlines, better subject lines. You need to increase your batting average of people that are reading what you're saying, that are compelled to take action by what you're saying. Copywriting is what this is, becoming a more compelling copywriter, learning the basics of why someone says yes. The same sales letter that you receive, so writing a sales letter that you've been receiving in the mail for decades now, is the same sales letter that you see when it's well done on a product offer page. It communicates features and benefits. It has both. It hooks people with a benefit and then explains the features. It incorporates scarcity. For whatever reason, as human beings, we are more compelled to take action when we think something is scarce or when we know something is scarce. In other words, there are only 10 seats available for this webinar. Well, I better grab that webinar. Right? The psychology is things that are scarce are more valuable. Urgency. Understanding that people need to know, especially in this time-starved world that we live in today, why they should act now and not wait to act. This offer expires in 24 hours is a good example. Social proof, this last little piece here to understand conversion. And if you can get these three things and understand why these three things work and use them ethically in your selling process, just these three things will increase your sales. Understanding social proof and why people want to know who else is doing this. Testimonials work because they tell a person you're not the first one to come down this road. Other people have needed this solution, and other people have been successful using this product or service. Guarantees, terms, and calls to action. Guarantees are almost a necessity, especially if you're selling a service. A service is a promise. It's a promise that you're going to do X, Y, or Z for me, and I want to know how I can get involved with as little skin in the game as possible. So offering a guarantee is almost a necessity today when you're selling a service. Terms, when do I pay? Do I pay now? Do I pay later? Can I pay in chunks, or do I have to pay it all up front? Is there any, it's your whole terms and conditions part of this sales process needs you need to take that into consideration. And then calls to action, which is a very cliche thing to say, and it's cliche because so many of us fail to have a call to action in a sales situation. We don't ask for the order, and it's critical. And then the last thing I would recommend, if you're stuck in phase 3 in whatever marketing you're doing, is to learn to accept payment online. Learn a simple system like PayPal to accept credit card payments over the web, and you will see PayPal's going to take their little 2.9%, but you might find that it's very much worth it. So what stage are you in? Are you in the attract stage? Are you in the retain stage? Are you in the conversion stage? And each stage builds upon the other. You can't move into retention and forget about attraction, and move into conversion and forget about retention and attraction. It's all a moving part. But without one, you don't get the other. So decide what stage you are in, and then take action to move towards the next stage. Business blogging is one tactic that we use to move people through these, to move a company through these 3 stages. And it's a powerful one. It's the first place that most people will start online. They will say, you need to start a blog. And the question usually is, why? Why do I need to start a blog? How does that make me money? So business blogging is a 3-step process that follows the ARC method. It starts with content. Content is equal to attraction. It moves into audience. Audience is equal to retention. And then it moves into offer, which is the equivalent of conversion. This is a popular television program. Understatement of the year. Okay. One of the most popular television programs of all times, American Idol. And like it, love it, hate it, whatever, it works. And what I want you to do is take a look at this picture here. And I know these aren't the current hosts of American Idol, but take a look at this picture here, and I want you to find the 3 parts that make this work. Content, audience, offer. Do you see the content in this picture? Where is the content? Where is the audience? Where is the offer? It's a quick quiz for you this morning. Where is the content? Where is the audience? Where is the offer? And here's the answer. Simon Cowell is the content. Paula Abdul, Steven Tyler today is the content. The singer is the content. The audience is behind the content, cheering because it's so good. It's good content, or at least they think it is. Some of you are rolling your eyes right now. But the audience is there because the content is good. Where's the offer? The offer is Coca-Cola paying for product placement in front of the content, next to the content. Without the good content, there's no audience. And without the audience, there's no offer. And that's what happens when with all of these tactics that we use, whether it's a print ad or a television ad, there is going to be these three components. There's going to be content, there's going to be the people, the audience, and then there's going to be an offer that's made to those people. Look at this picture. New York Times. Falling on hard times today, but has the same business model that a business blog has. There is content, there is audience, and there is offer in this one little picture. And can you find it? Can you find the content? Can you find the audience? And can you find the offer? There it is. The content is the columns. It's the columnists. It's the journalists that are writing about news, entertainment, inspiration, whatever it might be. That's why there's an audience. That's why the man is standing there holding that paper, because there is great content there. And once they can generate an audience, remember, translate that to list, they can then make offers. And in this case, it's an offer for a film. So you've got all three components to make a successful business model here with the content and audience and offer. Now, this film company has decided to rent the content and audience from the New York Times. The New York Times has put in the hours, the time, the money to build this content and build up this audience. The film company has decided, I'm going to use that content and audience. I'm going to pay to get access to it. Now, in your case, you might be sitting there thinking, I don't have the money to run an ad in the New York Times, and neither do I. If there's anybody on this call that has the money to run a New York Times ad, they've probably dropped off by now. But we need the content and we need the audience, and we need both of those things so that we can put food on the table by making an offer. If your marketing looked like this, next slide that I'm going to show you, ask yourself the same question. Who could you tell about your next product, your next promotion, your next offer? If your slide looked like, or if your marketing looked like this, who could you tell? In the center of this whole thing is a business owner with a business blog. And on that blog is going to be content. There's going to be something that has attracted all of these people that surround that blog. Consider it the New York Times of her little niche, her little town, her little space on the web, where she generates content that generates an audience. Those audience members are retained on various different channels. On the left, we have Twitter. Moving down, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have Google search, we have email marketing in the upper right-hand corner, and then we have a site called meetup.com, which is a way to start an offline networking event. And they're all rallied around and gathered around the content, the honey that attracts the audience. She can then mix in offers for her own products and services because she has generated the content that has generated an audience, and she has retained that audience. If your marketing looked like this, you would have plenty of people to make your next offer to. So there's nothing to blog about. There's nothing to write about. There's no content to be created. Well, here's 24 content creation ideas that attract. You can create a top 10 list. You can review a book in your niche, a blog, a movie, create a manifesto, post some research findings. Dig that stuff up that you did in college and post it up on the web. Compare the past to the present. Predict the future. Now, how many the future of financial planning in 2012 blog posts will be written this year, predicting the future? Create a chart or a pie graph, something that something that's helpful. Argue against a point. Argue for a point. Tell a story that makes a point. Aggregate a bunch of resources together. Dispel a myth. Answer customers' questions. Answer prospects' questions. Create a tutorial. Compare the advantages, disadvantages. Display the before and after. Make an analogy, an interesting analogy. Interview an expert. I love this type of content creation. Interviewing other people and posting that up. Interview a customer. Create an infographic. You know, this is kind of an infographic here. Create a roundup of a conference you attended or another event. Report findings of a survey that you created or that someone else created. Create a series around a topic, a series of content pieces. If you're sitting there thinking, I can't write, I don't know how to write, I'm not a good writer, I hate to write, I'm good at writing, I just hate it. It doesn't have to be text. It can be audio, like we're doing here, video. We're going to be recording this webinar and placing it up. This is a piece of content. In fact, this webinar is a piece of content. So if there's nothing to blog about, think about all of the different things that are going on in your space. And there's virtually no space where you cannot start generating content. If you want some examples from your industry, you can contact me about that offline, and we can take a look around the web and find somebody that's doing it right. Excuse me. I mentioned earlier that one of the keys to being to converting better is to learn to write better headlines, better subject lines. Well, that particular strategy can be applied at every stage of the ARC method. Attract, retain, and convert. You will attract more people to blog posts that have better headlines. You will retain people when you call them to action with a better subject line or headline. There is probably no better use of your time than to learn to write more compelling headlines and subject lines if you're going to execute a strategy like this. Let's take a look at one of the world-class examples of writing good headlines, which is Prevention Magazine, and really any magazine that's owned by this publishing parent company. Look at the first headline here, number one. Now this, you know, my wife thinks I'm crazy, okay, because I spend time when I'm standing in line at the grocery store, and I encourage you to do this as well. When you're in line at the grocery store, pick up a copy of Prevention or any similar magazine and look at the headlines. Figure out why they work. Think about them. Think about why that headline is there and written the way it is. Number one, shrink your fat zones, lose 7 pounds in 7 days. It's a formula that's been used over and over and over again to write headlines. And the formula is this: get a desired result in a desirable amount of time. Okay, you can apply that to your business. Get a desired result in a desirable amount of time. Understand your finances in 24 hours or less is an example of the same headline formula used in a different industry. Look at number 2, 8 lies about sunscreen. Believe them at your own risk. This headline is a threat headline. It taps into our fears that we're being threatened by something, and it makes us take action. Believe these at your own risk. These are lies. These are things that you've been told that are not true, and they are putting you at risk or people you love at risk. And you should read this article and find out why. It gets people to take action. You know, the formula is it's a simple formula. It's something you believe is not true and could be harming you. So apply that to your own industry in your headlines and subject lines of your emails. Take a look at number 4. The no-pill pain remedy doctors now trust. There's a lot of things going on with this headline. In those simple little, however many words that is, 7 words or whatever it is, the no-pill pain remedy. So it's a desired result. It's pain remedy, and it's a no-pill pain remedy. And the doctors now trust it, meaning it's something new. There's something that you haven't heard of before, or there is a new authority that is now advocating for this solution. And notice that in all of these headlines, they don't uncover the lead. They don't tell you what it is. They just create a mystery and they make a promise. And it's a critical point to understand that they make a promise. All of your headlines and all of your subject lines should make a promise. And the most important thing for you to be doing as an ethical business owner, as a person that's building a sustainable business, is to deliver on that promise with the content, with the offer, with whatever stage you're in. You must deliver on that. If you tell me there's 8 lies about something in here, and I click through and don't find that, well, you just lost me. And Prevention Magazine knows that as well. If I flip to this article, there better be 8 lies in here, or otherwise I'm not going to pick up another Prevention Magazine. So deliver on your promise, but learn when you have good content, learn to figure out what is the promise I'm making in here and deliver that in the headline. Because that headline is, in this time-starved world, what most people are going to see. It's a world of tweets and status updates and little millisecond decisions that we make all day long on the web. And a better headline will increase your batting average, get more people to engage in what you're doing. Take a look at number 7. Terry Hatcher, her shocking struggle with secret pain. First of all, the word shocking is a very powerful word, because it communicates to us that there's something that's going to be jaw-dropping in here that we have not heard before. In other words, this is new. And it also piggybacks off of Terry Hatcher's stardom. I wrote a post the other day that was called How to Sell Like Steve Jobs. And the post headline piggybacks off of the power of Steve Jobs. How to sell like Steve Jobs. It's much better than to say how to sell like, John Doe. Who cares how to sell like John Doe? How to sell like Steve Jobs? Now I want to read that, because it piggybacks off of the stardom of someone else. Dedicating some time to learning how to write better headlines and better subject lines is a very good use of your time, whether you're in the attract, retain, or convert stage. When you get to the convert stage, you can start learning about things like, why would this company is called MailChimp on their website use that sort of red or pinkish shade of color for their main call to action, sign up for free? There is a reason that was tested, that the people that they are attracting to this website take action more often with that color than any other color. In fact, all of every element on that page has been tested and changed and tweaked and measured. And when you get to that conversion stage, it becomes more an act of increasing your batting average than anything else. You've already attracted and retained people. Now you need to learn to, get a better percentage of conversion out of what you've created. So it's one of the more advanced stages of internet marketing that a lot of people don't ever get to is learning to test. But if you can get to through attraction and through retention and through and into conversion, then you can start studying testing and understanding how to very simply test two different colors of a button to see which one works better than the other. In the end, this is going to cost you time or it's going to cost you money. We talked about it earlier. You can either rent someone's content and audience, or you can build your own through a blog is one way of doing it. It's, you can build content on a blog that builds your own content or audience, or you can rent it from someone else. It's either going to cost you time or it's going to cost you money. To create articles like these that are good, that people will rally around, takes time. Or if you can't do it, it'll cost you money to have people put these together for you. If you decide that you're going to take an ad out in your local paper or your television station or the radio station, you are then renting their content and their audience, and it's going to cost you money. So you have a decision to make. If you're considering business blogging, you're going to be looking at some combination of an investment of time or money. It wouldn't be a presentation with Russ Henneberry if I didn't mention WordPress. Business blogging, the major reason that most people that come to me are not able to execute a strategy like I've been describing is because their website is not able to do it. The website platform itself is not capable of executing an internet marketing strategy through a blog or any other content type strategy. Today I work on nothing but people that are using WordPress because the system works. I know how to get results with it. I know you can get results with it. I know you will be able to use it. I know that it's not a fit for every single project, but it's a fit for most projects. And if it's not a fit for your project, then there's probably there's other solutions. I just don't work on those other solutions anymore. WordPress is a blogging platform, but it's also a website platform. You can build a full-blown website on WordPress. And the question to ask yourself here is very simply, if I had to make a change to my website, how would I get that done? And if your answer is, I have to call the guy, I have to call the website guy, and I have to pay him, and I have to wait for him to do it, that's the wrong answer for 2011. And you might have the luxury of having internal IT people or something like that that can make these changes for you when you ask for them. But chances are, if you're like most of us, you're going to be making these changes yourself or some employee that doesn't have much technical background, and you want to be using a system like WordPress that you can log into and you can make these types of additions, subtractions in some cases, edits. You can add audio, you can add video, you can add social media integration, you can add all of these things in there with a few clicks of a button rather than understanding HTML and code and all of those things. So I walk my talk, or I talk the talk, but I also walk the walk. I want to retain you And if you're not on my email list, you can do so by going to tinyandmighty.com/gift. I have 10 videos that start getting delivered to you once a week that describe this type of marketing in a little more detail. So you can go to tinyandmighty.com/gift. And again, I'm at tinyandmighty.com. I work with people that are on WordPress or want to get on WordPress. And so let's take some questions. I got a question here. What are some of the best WordPress plugins? It's a great question. And first of all, let me explain what a plugin is. Plugins are what makes really, WordPress so powerful. They are, when you first install something like WordPress and start working on it, it has a particular set of functions that it can execute. But when you want something additional to that, say you want an event calendar, or you want, the ability to easily embed YouTube video or whatever, you go to the plugins directory and you find the plugin that makes that happen, and you add that to your WordPress installation. There are 5 plugins that I put on every website that I build. And the first one is Akismet, which comes with WordPress. It's just not activated. And Akismet is what makes blogging possible, because there's so many spammers out there that will hit your comment area that you have to install something like Akismet to block all of that. Excuse me. So Akismet, A-K-I-S-M-E-T, is the first one. Number 2 is Google XML Sitemaps. It is a sitemap plugin that, without you having to do anything except click a button, it builds a sitemap for you. And this is the reason why I tell you 90% of your problems can be solved by getting on a better website platform like WordPress. A lot of people say, well, I've been told I need a sitemap. Just install the plugin and that's it. You're done. And so Google XML Sitemaps is great for SEO. Headspace 2. Headspace 2 is an SEO plugin that allows you to manipulate the SEO elements at a page level or a post level to put better SEO title tags, meta descriptions, and it's got a lot of functions and things in there that are advanced, like and close your ears if you're not a real techie person, but things like adding no index or no follow, or all of those things are actually also incorporated into Headspace. So it's a great SEO plugin. I installed Google Analyticator, which makes it very easy to install Google Analytics on your website. Google Analyticator is another plugin that you just copy a little piece of code and paste it into the plugin, and you've got Google Analytics. Yet Another Related Post plugin is a great one for bloggers, and what it does is it's called Yet Another Related Post plugin, and or YARP, Y-A-R-P-P, and YARP adds at the bottom of a blog post, or at the bottom of any blog post, it's going to add a list of other blog posts that are like that one to keep people on the site longer. So someone reads that post, they liked it, it'll say, here's another set of posts that are very similar to this one. Click here. Subscribe to Comments is a plugin that allows you to that allows people that comment to click a little radio button, and that radio button allows them to start being emailed any replies to their comment, or any new comments on that blog post. So Subscribe to Comments is a good one. And literally, if there is anything that WordPress cannot do out of the box, there's probably a plugin that makes it happen. Facebook like button is a great one. It just adds the Facebook like button so that when people click on that, it it goes out to their Facebook network. If you've ever seen these little Facebook buttons all over the place, it's a plug-in for WordPress. You install it, and voila, there's the Facebook like button. The retweet buttons, all of those things are, standard in WordPress. You can just install the plugin and it's there. But there are also premium plugins. I'll spend a little more time on plugins because it's so important. There are also premium plugins for things in the conversion area of things when you have attracted an audience. Things like Premise, which allow you to build custom landing pages and things like that. So I'll move on from that. Great question from Kathy. Any suggestion on must-have items in your blogs? Yeah, there is a particular type of content that I like to instruct people to start with that a lot of bloggers call pillar content. Pillar content starts with those really those customer service type issues, the frequently asked questions that you get a lot from your customers or prospects should be addressed in every blog, because for two reasons. One, it's going to reduce the amount of time that you have to spend to reply to that question. I can't tell you how many times people will email me and I will just refer them to a blog post that I wrote because it's much more elaborate than I could ever write them in an email. I spent the time to answer it very well one time, either in a video or in a text or audio or whatever it is, and I will just shoot them a link. So that's one thing. It saves me a ton of time to answer all these FAQs. And the second thing is, that's the same question that people are typing into Google when they are interested in your service. They are typing in those FAQs, and when you write a blog post about it, you're very likely to get a Google visit on someone that is asking that question, which could lead to a sale. So pillar content, start with those FAQs from both customers and prospects. And you may be able to come up with 100 of them, and there's your first 100 blog posts that need to be written or done in a video or audio or whatever format that you decide. And then moving on from there in terms of, what are some must-haves? There really is no answer to that. But what I will say about your content is, what I have found is that your biggest challenge will be to remain consistent over a long period of time. You will decide that you're going to start a business blog, and you won't see results right away, and you'll quit, or you'll sort of like quit and then start back up and then quit and start back up. And it's important to either to stay consistent as much as you can. If you go up to the store right now, you can buy a copy of your local paper. It's gonna be there. That content is consistent. And it also should remain consistent in format as much as you can. But your blog will evolve over time. But if you're writing a one paragraph post, and then you write this epic long post, and then you write another short one and another short one and then another long, and people just can't seem to get an understanding of how your blog operates, how much time it's going to take for them to consume the content, and that will negatively affect things. If you can keep it consistent, that's very difficult to do, because I also encourage you to experiment with different things, especially early, and try to figure out, where you're able to, if you're writing really short posts, hey, go for it. If you're writing very long posts, go for it. But, try at least to stay consistent. And then in delivery, every time I come to your blog, are you delivering it in a different way? Like sometimes it's audio, sometimes it's text, sometimes it's video. for the most part, it's going to be better if you can stick to some delivery method and people start to understand the rhythm of your blog, the timing, the length, the amount of time it takes. You're not trying to communicate the answer to every single issue. You are trying to, when you write a piece of content, you want to address some specific issue as concisely as possible and make it interesting. Add an analogy to it that makes it, puts a little different spin on things. But you don't need to write these instruction manuals, big long instruction manuals. I got time for, I think, one more question here. What kind of an expense is associated with outsourcing blogging? Is a question here. What kind of expense is associated with outsourcing blogging? The biggest challenge in my industry is that content is required at every step. And there are various levels of content. Spam is content. These Viagra emails that you get are content. But they're garbage content. And it goes up from there, obviously, all the way up to custom written pieces or custom video that, has tons of research behind it. And it depends on what level you want to get to. But you can find writers in your niche. One of the best places to find a writer is problogger.net. And they have a job board there where you can pay a little bit of money to ProBlogger, and they will blast out a call for writers in your space. I manage a couple of blogs, one in the software space and one in the financial space. And it just depends. I mean, it's a difficult question to answer. The services that I provide are can be that with that much handholding, that much of involvement from me, or it can be, me just getting with you and training you on how to use something like WordPress, how to put together an editorial calendar that you'll stick to, how to generate blog ideas and things like that. And that's much cheaper because I'm not actually generating the content or sourcing the people to do so. And in the end, you are a subject matter expert about your topic, and it can be difficult to outsource something, especially if you're in a very technical field. I have a customer who's an employment attorney. I couldn't write information if I wanted to about employment law. I could find a writer that knows enough about employment law. But the question is, why are there's not a lot of those, because if they know enough about employment law, they're a practicing lawyer and they need the content themselves to market. So it is a big catch-22 is how do you get this content? But if you commit to it, if you really put your mind to it, you can execute a blog strategy. You got to keep your head down and push through for a few months. And then put your head up and see where you've gotten and see whether you're starting to see some leads and referrals coming through. I really, really appreciate the time that we've spent together today. Once again, this webinar is put on by Experts for Entrepreneurs. You can find out more about them at e4ecommunity.com. This is Russ Henneberry with Tiny and Mighty Media, and don't forget that your tiny business can indeed make mighty profits. Thanks a lot, folks.